things change. All things become as they once were, as I remember them, without the conflict that you have. To a large extent, without the pain that you have. The pain that we had was just a mechanism to say, you have cut your hand on a thorn, be careful. Not the mental pain that you have. Not the lasting suffering that you have. The light changes these things forever. Is that a sufficient answer?
Yes, thank you, Jess.
Thank you. Please.
Could you tell us about the magnetic grid around the Earth and what ascension means to you, where you are at the present time?
The magnetic grids.
Around the Earth?
Yes. The Earth is polluted. The lines around the Earth, the energy lines, the veins, the arteries of the Earth were once crystal clear.
And the Earth was more crystalline in structure than it is today. The heavier rocks, the uglier rocks that you see, are as a result of pollution being held by them. Where does the pollution come from? The pollution comes from the minds of men and women, and unfortunately children, because we feed them with our expectations of life from an early age. So when you are encountering a grid, you are encountering a lack, a blockage, a pollution of a light stream. And the Earth was far more generous in its energies than it now is, before the accumulative effect of the mental debris of the field polluted many of its energy lines. So a grid is not a natural occurrence. A grid is a pollution of a natural line of positive, of God energy. The way to clean grids, of course, goes back to what I was saying before, goes back to the way that you think, the way that you influence the field, because when the field is cleansed, the grids will be cleansed. If you find a grid, if you find a line of seemingly negative energy, you need to put your hands onto it and pray and see light going into it. And pray that it be restored to the condition it was in before we, you and I, polluted it. And you can, for a time, clear those lines by doing this. Grids, because they are pockets of intense earth pollution, are terrible places for the unaware to live. Or terrible places for the unaware to sit on in an office chair. Or terrible places for the unaware to build a hospital on. Because the energy goes into the grid. The grid pulls more of the field's energy into itself. And the grid is powerful enough to pollute those who are on it or in its proximity. There should be psychics, there should be mediums testing for grids now, but only in certain parts of the world does that happen. It should happen as a matter of course, and initially these places should be avoided. But then, later, when they are recognized and have been avoided, they should be changed. They should be prayed over. They should be lifted from their polluted state. And one of the quickest ways that you can change a grid is by kneeling on it, putting your hands on the center of the line and saying, "Forgive me, I am sorry. Forgive us, we are sorry. We love you as you love us." And you will clear the grid and you will heal the line. With ascension, are you talking about the evolution of souls? or the changing of soul's consciousness on this level.
Changing the soul's consciousness on this level.
It is again the seesaw. It is a game. It is almost like a game of tennis where you bat light to one end and the field bats back pollution, mental pollution, spiritual pollution to you. There is a plan to all this, you know. And the plan involves every soul lifting itself into a new consciousness. And you stand at a great crossroad, you stand, as I have said, on one half of the seesaw, and things could go either way. There is so much depends on what you do over the next few decades. We cannot get out either until each of you has got out of the pollution of the field. You cannot get out totally until each person has got out of the pollution of the field, because you are all one being. This does not mean that you will necessarily be drawn back into an earthly incarnation again, but it does mean that the spiritual levels are also cleansing areas. I want you to think of the spiritual levels that you have read so much about, the various levels, and people quote different numbers of levels and different looks to levels, but those levels are cleansing stations. Those levels are designed to get you as a spirit back to the point you once were at. Do you see the implications of that? You were once as evolved as a spirit as the angels that you see. The problem occurred because of the fall that placed you within the illusion of a negative field. So I want you to look at the spiritual planes and to understand that these are not the be-all and end-all to your existence. They are, if you like, a spiral staircase that slowly, slowly, slowly takes you through a number of healing washes and baths until you are back where you once stood. Or are you? Because when you are back where you once stood, what about the others? You will find a pull from your heart, a sadness. You will find upset because you cannot lift each person up, and you will want to, and you will realize at that point that you cannot move on beyond the spiritual realms that surround the earth, that interpenetrate the earth, until each soul is out of the negativity of the field. So you will, even at the highest level, not be forced to come back in some degree of consciousness, but will want to come back in some degree of consciousness, because you will be so sad for those souls, your brothers and sisters, who are still immersed in the illusion, who still believe that your way of life on earth is the way of life that should be here, that they should live. And you will work to reach a hand down towards those souls. And that is what is happening tonight, because there is a circle above me and a circle above them. Hands reaching down to bring light into the darkness. Ascension is dependent here on the changing of the corruption, on the banishing of the pollution, on a percentage of souls, an ever greater percentage of souls realizing what we realize here tonight. There then comes a point where there is more light than darkness, and you have ascension on earth. You have a rediscovery by souls who are incarnate of who they are, of their spiritual heritage. And then decisions can be made on this earth as to what you want the earth to be in goodness. What do you want the earth to be in goodness? Because the earth is a playground, a willing playground, a participant in your world, your inner and your outer worlds.